Yo, what up? Back on it. Hopping back on here after taking a quick little break last night. Definitely hit a little bit of a wall trying to figure out these notifications. Just staring at code. I was like, I gotta get off. I gotta get off. I gotta take a break and come back to it. So I took a little break last night, came back, did some work this morning and cleaned up a bunch of the things that I needed because, with the agents, sometimes they be fucking up and they definitely did some things that had to be heavily refactored and cleaned up. And now I need to kind of figure out some of the validations and logic in terms of scoping and who should get what emails and whatnot. Basically, figuring out all the email notification systems, which took a little bit of a time, but I think I've got into a pretty good place. And I'm going to try to finish off my email notifications today. Where we are. So you can see my in-app notifications are pretty solid right now. I had to refactor this whole page because what it created was a basically client loaded front end that did everything on the client, server calls on the client. It didn't utilize React routers, loaders, and action functions like I normally do to handle all my server-side things from that same route. And then it handled all filtering and pagination, not through the DB, but just literally through the client. So it didn't persist per se. So like when you do pagination, you add a filter, it wouldn't have persisted as you kind of go through the pages because it is only based on what is currently loaded. And obviously that's not going to work as people continue to get more and more notifications. So I had to refactor everything to function properly, like everything else I've already set up to be server side and persistent across the way. But as you can see, filters are all set up. Pagination works pretty well. I figured out some of the styling for the notifications. I think look pretty clean. A blue kind of like background for those that are unread. I figured out my notification drop down, kind of the same situation. All that's all tied up. Everything works in real time, so I get all those updates. All the SSC and emitters are properly set up. So now I just gotta let's come in here. So next thing I gotta do is come in here and do some testing for this. As you can see, I got some project email preferences. This just controls how and when a user or member of a workspace will get notified by email. They will always get in-app notifications, which I might add some tweaks to that if I do a mobile app or something like that, where you can adjust how often you're getting these in-app notifications and for what purposes. But right now, anything that you should be notified of, you're gonna get it no regardless in your in-app kind of notification field. But this controls how much you get email wise. So as a project lead, basically meaning if you have been assigned as a project lead of one of the projects on the app, you can choose to receive everything, only those tasks or notes that are assigned to you, or none totally. Because if you just don't want to get any emails from anything that's happening, you can also do that. I want to give you that option. Same as assignee. So basically the logic I had to kind of figure out recently was basically if I am a project lead and I have this set to assign to me, there is another scope here called as assignee. And as an assignee, basically what is said here, I can choose which type I get email for. So if it's in a task that I'm assigned for and I set it to task, then I should only receive a notification for those tasks. Whereas if it's set to task and I get a note that's assigned to me, I won't get an email notification. I will get it in the app, but I won't get an email, and vice versa if it's set to notes and all that. Also, if I set it to none, then I will receive no emails for anything I'm assigned to. And this applies as a member, not just as a project lead. So if I am not a project lead or anything, I can still control my email notification preferences in terms of what I will receive as an assignee. So that was kind of a whole process, but I figured that out earlier today and I need to do some testing on it. Also, one thing I had to scope is if I set this to none, but my project lead is set to assign to me, the project lead should take precedence and I should still receive email notifications for all of these here. So if it's none as assignee, but I am a project lead on a project and I have it set to notify me for things that are assigned to me, then as that project lead, I will still continue to receive emails for my task in my notes regardless of what this says here. So I need to add some language there probably. Let's go. Add another man. Foreground. Lead slash owner. Override. Check that. Okay. Tweak that again. Just in a little div. Go. All right, see what that's looking like. All right, project lead, social owner settings, override, none. And then give you, let's say, italic. Nah. All right, that's good. I do want to scope this. And then let me see if there is owner. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, let's go. No, let's not do that. Let's do is owner. Tab that. Slash. Come on now. Cool. So it says project lead settings override none. So it's just kind of getting more context. And then if I sign in as the owner, I should still see that. Come here. Cool. Project lead slash owner settings override none. And then if I come here, I don't think I'm owner of this one. Yeah. So project lead settings override none. And then come here. Let's go back. All right, so I'll just come in here and let's start testing this out. So again, as project lead, let's make this. So if my setting is set to everything, no matter what I set here, yeah, so if I have it set to everything, no matter what I set here, will be overridden. So let me. That works for me. Project lead settings override none and everything. So if this is set to everything, you double check. So if this is set to everything and I set this to none, I should still, as a project lead, receive everything. Cool. But if I set this to task, I should still receive everything. Override project lead settings, override. I think I want to add some explanation to that because it can be a little bit confusing. Project lead settings, override. Nah, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna remove this and let's create a dialog. Info. Three, 5, 5, and let's go flex item center and gap 1. We come here and look. All right. Let's clean that up. Let's not remove that. And then let's go gap 5. It's not justify what I'm thinking. It's let's go maybe. Yeah. All right, so that's better. Let's maybe go 0.5. All right, so I'm going to turn this into a button, and then it's going to open a dialog explaining exactly what it does. So instead of going there and manually doing it, I'm going to tell it to do a button that opens dialog explaining this setting and to owner / project lead settings. All right, so I'm just going to let that do that and then start doing some testing. So as a project lead, it should be everything. If I go to, let's see, let's go to this everything and let's go to, for example, task. And then if I come to my other one, just come here. Let me log in on my private one. Let's go test. So find a project I'm in, and I think one of my project lead should be this one. I'm a project lead on this one. So I should be receiving. So as a project lead, I have it set to everything. So I should receive all email notifications for this one, no matter what. So I'm going to go ahead and create some copy real quick, some messages, text messages, test. As you can see, the messages auto populated. So if I like to come here and make sure it gets, boom, there it's in a message. Cool. I come here and check notifications. It's in my notifications. Now, if I come to my actual email settings, let's refresh that. I still get that new notification email. That's what I want. Got the message. Cool. Now, as a user, let's go settings, everything, and then task. So just to try task, make sure I still get everything that I should be getting. Again, that scope shouldn't be kicking in. So if I create, for example, a note, again, refresh, there's a new note here. And if I come to my notifications, it says right here, I have a note. Now, if I come to my email again, I'm still getting everything emailed properly. So even even setting this to notes does not kick in because this overrides all of that. Again, come to notes. Let's try that again. Come to redesign, and then let's add, for example, um, let's just copy this again, and then let's just add another message. Why don't we? Another message, and then again, if I come here, I should see the message, and I do. Come here, see that message, see all my notifications, which I styled last night. Okay, looks good. And then I come back here, go to my activity once again, and then come here. I should still see that message, even though it was set to none. And that's right. All right, so that works. And then let's come here and let's try this. So this is updated, and then let's change this to assigned to me. And as an assignee, this should still kind of kick in as task and notes should be sent, but messages and anything else created should not be sent to me unless it's specifically assigned. So I'll come here and I'll add a note. This is another note. You shouldn't be seeing this. Come here, check my notes. Got another note, as you can see, but there is no assignment to me. But if I go to my notifications, I still get that as a project lead. I still get the in-app notification saying that somebody posted a note. But then if I come here, as you can see, this is the latest delivered. It is not that note. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Now I'll try this again and I'll create another note, and this note you should be seeing. Go to Doe assignment. So then come here, come back to notes, and then as you can see, this user is actually assigned to this specific note, and then I can see it as well. This note you should be seeing, and then if I come here and refresh, I get that email. This note you should be seeing. So I'm still getting things I'm supposed to be getting when it's assigned. Now let's try a task. Why not? Create a task. You shouldn't be seeing this. Come to my timeline. This is my task, not assigned. So I shouldn't be notified at all, even in this, because there is no, because the way it's scoped is basically I should be only seeing this if the client kind of responds to this and sends it back for submission. I should get that notification. But unless I'm assigned specifically to this task, I shouldn't get a notification or an email unless I've been assigned to it. If I'm assigned to it and somebody creates a task, like somebody on my team creates a task, I should get that notification saying that somebody created a task and I need to go check it out, basically. So I'll come here again, refresh. As you can see, I don't get that task, but the client gets an email getting notified saying, hey, I created a task in this one, and then I'm going to clean all this up. But basically like that. Then if I come here, let's create another task, and then I'm going to assign another task, but I'm going to actually assign this one to myself. And then I come here, refresh. You definitely should be seeing this task. I got my assignment right here. And then I come here, my notifications, and it says right here, I created a task and resigned, basically saying, go check this out. You've been assigned. And then I come here and I go refresh. 440. Client gets that same email basically saying I got that task. And then as a test, as the currently signed user, I should be seeing it. So here, created a task and redesign, you definitely should be seeing the test. So I still get that settings are working properly when I choose only assign to me and set to everything. Now, if I go assign to me and I go to none, I should still be receiving those same notifications. So I come here again. I'm just gonna delete these. All right, so what should be happening is now I have my assignment here assigned to me, and it's set to none as assignee, but because it's assigned to me, it should overwrite this scope right here, and I should still receive anything in a task or a note that is assigned to me. Let's go double check that. Come here on my other account, let's create a note. You should still be seeing this. I'm gonna assign it to me. All right, let's come to notes. Here's a new note. You should still be seeing this. It's got the assignment. I come to notifications. You should still be seeing this. Cool. And then if I come to my email and refresh, I should get that notification. You should still be seeing this. So basically that works, and it's still, even though this is set to none, but as a project lead, this takes precedent over what is said here. So let's check task one more time. Let's come John Doe. All right, let's come to task real quick. I should be seeing this. I got the assignment, but you shouldn't be seeing this. Basically, I shouldn't be getting notified for this. And if I come to my notifications, here's the task. You should still be seeing this. And then this is a note that's assigned to me. And not this. Hold on. But you shouldn't be seeing this. So I created another task, and that's not getting notified. Let me come here. Assigned to me. All right, so I need to fix that because this note is not assigned to me, so I should not be getting this notification. But let's go to task. I should be seeing this. I come to my notifications. Should still be seeing this is there. But if I come here, but you shouldn't be seeing this, I come check and it's not in there. So let's check my mail. You should still be seeing this. So I got that email notification, right? And then here, I got the actual email for just that one task that was assigned to me. but I didn't get the email for this note that has been added. So I got to fix that for whatever reason. Added a note, come here. There's no assignment, but my settings say only assigned to me. So I gotta go tweak that. All right, so let's come over here. So it says it implemented my dialog button that I wanted. So click that real quick. So when I click this, it opens here. How assignee preference works. Setting controls, assigning emails, and works together with your owner. Let's come here. Let's go. With your owner. All right, this setting controls assign emails and works together with your project lead preferences. If your owner, scope that as well. If your project lead setting is everything, you receive all project emails regardless of assignee scope. And if your project lead setting is assigned to me, this assignee setting scopes assigned emails for assigned to me, assignee set to tasks, sends only task emails, notes, sends only note emails, and none behaves as no extra filter. It sends both. All right, let's clean that up a little bit. Let's go. All right, let's change this into a UL I and then for assigned to me, assignees set to task. It's only task emails. Let's go here. All right, let's do this. Let's remove this and then notes only sends. To notes, sends only note emails, li. Then let's go. Remove that. Assignee set to none behaves as if your owner assignee set to none. Behaves as no extra filter and sends both assigned tasks and note emails. All right, let's try that. All right, if your project lead setting is setting is assigned to me, this assignee setting scopes assigned emails, assignee set the tasks, since only tasks me, assignee set the notes, since only email. And it says no extra. If you are not acting as owner or project lead on a project, assignee set to none blocks assigned emails for that project. All right. So is owner. If you are not acting, all right, let's come here. Let's see. Great. All right, so it's going to create some universal CSS styles for my UL and LIs, so it can just be applied whenever I use those. Let me see. All right, layer base, UL, this disk, LI. All right, cool. So then I come over here again, check. Now look, how it looks. Let's clean that up. Go cover. Actually, let's do this. I remember how to do tooltips. Trying to remember. All right. Did I not? I could have swore I said a tooltip provider. Children. Wait, why is it in my? So I did. Messing up tools, content, assigning info. That's why. I don't know if you can. It's breaking my place a tooltip around dialog trigger. Let's try that. Anyways, this looks good. My UL, ULI, I need to set the tasks, notes, none. Cool. Just some clarification details right there. If you're not acting as project lead on a project, assignee set to none, blocks assigned emails for that project. Cool. I might actually do the same thing. Project lead. As owner, as project lead. Let's create info. All right, create the same info dialog behavior for the project lead. Select and owner. All right, so I should do that. Let's do one more test. So assign to me and then also need to scope that. Krenal, what up? I think I said your name. Krenal, what up? Let's go here. Let's double check this. Project lead. All right, it's just adding some context. Let's refresh. Project lead preference controls the project emails you receive when you're lead. Everything sends all emails for projects when you are lead. Assigned to me sends emails for lead project items assigned to you and none disabled project. You're also an owner. All right, let's do this. Clean this up. Everything. Let's wrap this whole thing. In.
Yeah.
works. You're also on. Let's take that out. You said you want to get into coding, especially game dev. I'm starting with GD scripts, but I don't know from where to start. It's confusing. Yeah, I don't know about game development and coding. I think it's kind of a similar path. I'm not really sure in terms of like web development versus games. I'm sure games are probably way more complicated. Probably gonna do a little bit more equations and stuff. So I don't really know how to start from game development, but I know from web development you got to just kind of find. Like I just found Free Code Camp and did some of their courses and lessons and kind of first see if you actually enjoy the coding and programming part of it, and then kind of go from there. That kind of gives you a good baseline knowledge of what you need, especially for web development. Then you gotta kind of just graduate to start building your own stuff. But for game development, I'm not really sure. I'm not even really sure what language most games are built on. Maybe like C plus or C plus plus or something like that. Probably, if I'm assuming for games, it's probably going to be C plus or C plus plus. And I don't know C plus or C plus plus. It's I know there's a lot of courses out there that you can kind of just find. So I'll just kind of look up courses for C plus, C plus plus, and kind of like go from there and see if you enjoy what is being offered, because that's what should be doing a lot. Okay. So yeah, C plus plus and Python. Python actually is fairly used in web dev, so I do understand a little bit of that. Like I said, for if you want to learn like Python, FreeCodeCamp got a pretty good free course for Python that gives you all the basics and how to start and kind of give you a good foundation to build on. And I don't think they have a C plus or C plus plus course. If they do, it's really old. But I know there's a lot of other free resources to learn kind of that language as well. I just start out getting just do free courses first and see if you like what you're learning. Don't just like pay for something because you might not actually like what you're doing. But I do know C plus plus is probably a little bit more technical than like what I use, which is JavaScript and stuff like that. But I say go for it, man. Like, why not? To start is easy. Clean this up. All right, cool. So I'm good with that. Being assigned since emails really project was assigned to you. Since all this setting works. Where am I? All right, let's check. Owner purpose work, that setting controls the project emails you receive when you're on the workspace owner. Everything assigned to me, none. If you are also the project lead for project, your project lead setting could still apply for that. All right, that looks good. So let's come here. Do the same thing. Matter of fact, let's just do this. Cool. All right, cool. So that works. It's all cleaned. All right, let's go log it out. Let's come here. All right, so I need to check this setting. If it's assigned to me, I'm still getting this notification right here for a note, even though it's not assigned to me. So let's go investigate that. Should be notes, notifications, core somewhere. Application query. Might be in my shared. Let me see. It's probably shared because this is where my logic is. Arguments not include owners, includes load, user ID, status changed. Nope. Where's the note? Let's go. Here. Does role level allow notification? Note dot created arguments. Why is it still no notification if there's no task? All right, so I'm gonna let my agent identify that. So small log project set to me. That aren't and you all right, I don't want to dig through my code, so I'm gonna let it come find this gap. Somewhere along in this gap, this assigned to me should not be firing on this note because it didn't fire with my task. This didn't fire, wasn't assigned to me, so I didn't get notified. But this note is still firing and sending it to me. So let's check that one more time. Add another note. All right, refresh, come back to notes. Shouldn't be seeing this. Okay, not assigned to me, but if I come here, it's in here. You shouldn't be seeing me. So something's going on. Let's go check that again. So it imported my shared should email notification, create email delivery context. It's caching my eligibility. Okay. ID is pending, recipient. Filter. It's just caching. Gonna be it. All right, root cause in-app notifications are being created directly from recipient list and notifications core without applying preference-based eligibility. Email notifications did apply the filter, and that's why I wasn't getting it. Project leads assigned me could still get in-app notifications even when the note wasn't assigned. Fix, applied, updated, create notifications. So I updated this function to filter inputs through should email notification. Okay, that's what it's doing. So grabbing my delivery, email delivery cache, and then it's getting eligible inputs. Then I'm waiting to get a promise back from all these inputs. Gonna map through them. Gonna find if it's eligible by passing through my function that I set up to email notification. So basically, you shouldn't get an email, you shouldn't get notified. So you should return null, and then filter. Oh, okay. Let's try it again. Create another note. In fact, let me restart my server and restart it. All right, so refresh this from here. All right, so come to this project that I am the lead of. I come to my notes. I really should not be seeing this. And I come here, view my notifications. Cool. All right, that cleaned it up. And then if I come to my email, I definitely should not be getting that still. And I'm not. Let's refresh one more time. All right, no email sent. Fix the notifications, but then if I come back here and let's say, for example, create another note and let's assign it to you. Assign, create note. Cool. So I come here, refresh, and now this one I absolutely should be seeing. And I see it. You should be seeing the notification. If I come here, refresh my email, getting my email as well. So that works. Last thing I need to double check is make sure I'm not getting, I should still be getting tasks. So let's come here and check. I should assign to me, so I should get my task as well. So if I come here, let's just double check that again. I'm gonna create a couple tasks. So you shouldn't be seeing this. Sheikh Yassine, what up, man? Welcome to the chat. How you doing? How's the day going? All right, so let's refresh this. Let's go to task. So I shouldn't be seeing this one, which let's check. I'm not. I shouldn't. And then if I come back, I should be seeing this one. If I come to my notifications again, I should be seeing it, getting it. Let's refresh. Go to my email. I should be seeing this. Okay. And then if I make sure this is not it, created a task. Let's process. So let's go to delivered. Cool. And then my client should also be getting this. So cool. All that's cleaned up. And then one last thing I need to check is make sure I'm not getting these. So if it's assigned to me, but I'm asking for task, for example, I should only be receiving notifications for tasks that are specifically assigned to me. I shouldn't be receiving it if it's a note that's assigned to me. All right, let's try this again. You shouldn't. All right, come here, go to projects, go to notes. This note's been assigned to me, so but I also shouldn't be seeing this because I've scoped my settings to only show me tasks. So if I come here, cool, I'm not getting it. See no new notes, and I come here, refresh. That's not it. Cool. Not getting the note, but if I come here and let's say, for example, I create a task, task, I should see this one because I'm assigned. And if I come here, I see it in my notifications, my in-app notifications, and I should also be getting an email. Should see this task. Cool. Last thing, let's double check filtering for notes. Again, I create another task. Go to task. Even though it is assigned to me, I shouldn't see it. You should see this task. You shouldn't. Okay. So I see this one, but I don't see this one, which is correct. And then if I come to my email, nothing new. Now let's double check notes. All right, and I come here, go back to this. Let's go to notes. So I've created two, one not assigned, one assigned. So I should see this. Should see this. I don't see the other. Should see this. Don't see the other. I come back to my project. I created some task also. I nothing to see here. Not assigned, so I shouldn't get it. And I don't. Come to email. And here's my note. You should see this. Cool. All right, so that scoping works. Last thing I'll probably check, just double check, try to be very safe on the safe end. Let's just check as an owner. Let's say I want to receive everything, project lead, nothing. So as an owner, I want to receive everything. Let's say maybe as a project lead though, no, it doesn't matter. As an owner over everything, I will override all of these no matter what is set. I will still get notified. And then, for example, let's come here. Let's go. All right, let's go here. This should just generate, copy this. All right, I got that message. And then come on. I also got that message. Create a simple task. Should be getting that in a second. Oh no, I'm not because I didn't start it. Create a note. So I should be getting it. Here's the note. Still getting a notification of everything. Let's log out. Let me sign in as the guest. Oh my. I have a task. Let's start it. All right, so I should be getting this. All right, so I get the notification when it's actually being submitted. So let's come here. Submitted a task. Okay, I'm getting that. And then let's just change my settings. Let's say I want only things that are assigned to me, but as a project lead, I'll leave it as everything. So everything gets overwritten. None gets overwritten as well. I should still receive everything. So let's see. Let's create a note. I should be getting that notification here. Yep, this note is for you because it's assigned to me, but let's create another note. Come to my notes. This note is not for you. So if I come here, I'm not getting it because I'm not the project lead and because I set it to be only assigned. Creating a task. Go to task. Nothing to see. No notification. Now, if I actually, this task is for you. I come to task again. Let's refresh. This task is for you, and I get that notification because this one's actually assigned to me. That works. Let me just make sure scoping works. I should only get tasks now. So if I come in here and I create a note, come back to my project. Where am I? All right. So even though there is a note created saying you shouldn't receive this note in your inbox, I shouldn't get notified because I'm not. And then if I go to my inbox, I'm not getting it. I got my task, but I'm not getting the note. All right. So that's appropriate actions. Then if I one last thing I want to check is if I come here and I set this to notes, for example, and then I receive a task, and I assign it to myself, come back here, let's go to overview, product mockups, go to task, this is newly created. Even though I am assigned here, I should not get that notification anymore. Double check. Nope. And then I come here. The client gets it, but I should not. Is task free? Nope, it's not. So, all right, all that works. That was all wired up properly. So all those settings are in play. I have email preferences set up for your workspaces as an owner or as a project lead or as an assignee. You can, get pretty granular with how you want to manage that. And then it's scoped to basically who you are. If you have owner permissions, you can see certain things and then otherwise. And then last thing here is my email frequency as well. I need to kind of scope this up. Basically, email frequency, I have 4 different options: never, immediately, daily, and weekly. So I'm going to need to set up some scripts to test this because obviously you don't want to wait a week or a day to see if everything works. And the nice thing about agents is they're pretty good at creating scripts. I don't like having to do all that. So let's come here. We can do a simple test first. So for example, if I go daily, what I should do is I shouldn't get a notification email right away, even though I have been. So if I come here, make sure my settings are everything. All right, everything. So I receive all notifications in my projects no matter what. So I'll just come here. Let's go some copy. All right, so even though I have a message and even though I have a notification immediately, if I come in here, I should not see. All right, so the client got it right away because they have it set up like that, but I don't have that setting. So as you can see, this is the last message to this one, and it's not that. So basically this will get caught into my workers and it'll be aggregated and take all the notifications from that day and then kind of get sent out. I need to set up that a little bit cleaner, but that does work. The setting does apply, does not get sent out right away. Same thing for weekly. If I try that as well. So I come here and I go, so I got the notification right away of the new message, and I have my settings set to weekly, so I should not receive again an immediate um, email. The client gets it right away because that's how they have their settings set, but I should not, and I don't. So to test that is a little less straightforward, but the way that I've kind of found best is basically creating scripts that you can run, and you have to create like some crons that will work every 5 minutes, every few seconds, however long you want to set it to, and then kind of check it within your terminal to make sure everything is being sent. So instead of hand writing out these scripts, I'm gonna just give it to my agent. All right, so here's my actual email services. This handles immediate email delivery. That's basically reading my, let's see, notification links. It finds my preferences, so it gets your user ID, all the information it needs, and it grabs your email frequency from the table. And then it joins that notification preferences to that specific user, so you can kind of get all the information you need and pair them up. And then it checks if it's in this array of user IDs, of recipient IDs, which I always create a set for. It just makes kind of finding an ID and a unique ID, as they should be, very fast compared to just a regular array. So I use a lot of sets, especially when I'm finding IDs from something like notifications or preferences, and you have to run through everything. Do that, and then again, where it's not deleted, and then again, recipient preferences, then you can create a map where you can kind of like, build your actual emails. And then again, email frequency only if it's immediately. That's for immediate email delivery. Create some empty arrays that we're going to fill, and then you're going to loop through all the notifications that you need to send, which is going to help you build out your email. So should email await, you're going to check if you should, and then if it's not, then you don't push that. Basically, you add it to this suppressed notification IDs, which is right here. So it's basically an array that you're never going to use. You're just removing those to a separate one, and then otherwise you're going to go ahead and send it based on that sent notifications, and you're going to push it to there. And that's it. Then you're going to update your notifications table and update with the time and if it was sent. And then here's my actual digest, which is going to handle my daily and my weekly, kind of doing the same thing, but it's checking your preferences. And then here's the frequency for daily, and then here's the frequency for weekly. And that's all it does. And basically, you time it. You add some time constraints to it to when you should be checking if it should be added to it or not. Basically, if it's within this minimum window. All right, so we need to wire up some testing. Test for email delivery, especially daily and weekly digest and implementation. Basically, once I have my testing set in place for my digest and making sure that they kind of collect all the notifications that they should and send those out, that's pretty much the end of my notifications. I will have to clean up my emails and do that. That's pretty easy. I'm just going to tell it to do some quick visual styling and then kind of clean that up. But in general, that would be the end of my notifications. And all in all, to me, I would say it would take 2 days in total. Honestly, it would have been 1 day, but because I need to add so many scopes and kind of checks, that added a little bit more complexity than normal. Actually, I spoke too soon. I said after this I'd be done, but I'm actually not. I need to also wire up some notification settings for other things that I did not have in place, like project completions and then invitations and all that. And then I need to handle notification deletion, which shouldn't take long. But basically, if I delete a task or a note or a message, it should also try to at least delete that notification so they don't come to a 404 screen. But if it doesn't do it, then I need to gracefully handle those 404s and maybe redirect to just the overall project layout page. So I got to figure that out as well. But that else done. But no, I'm not. All right. So mhm. What you want? All right. So this is basically asking me if I want to implement a full test suite, which I'm not trying to do right now. Hold on. I currently not familiar with PyTest as a test suite. I have used Jest before, but I'm kind of tempted. Let me check this out. Testing framework. It's fast. Just compatible. I'm just gonna use PyTest and then All right, I'm gonna have to do full integration test. Not what I was wanting to do, but might as well do it now. Which function should the test cover? Send immediate notification emails plus run notification digest sweep. Wow, should email include the preference? Let's just do full. All right. So I wasn't planning on setting up my testing framework, but let's just go ahead and do that now. I'm probably gonna have to use it later anyways. All right, while I'm waiting, let me double check this flow. Projects, tasks. All right, paginations look good. Cool. Notes good. Cool. Let's see who sent this. All right, that works. All right, he created it. Cool. Progress in view. All right, cool. Let's go to clients. Archive. Works. Come here. See my projects. Go edit. Members. Looks good. Okay. These look good. All right, settings look good. Figure out some buttons. Task. Projects. Invitations. Workspaces. View all. All right. I mean, it is definitely a full featured app. I have everything. I just need to do, those quality improvements, which is obviously notifications and emails, and then do some role permission setups, and that's pretty much it. That's all we need to get this up live on my server. I think I can finish this before the end of this week for sure. Let's figure out what it did. Create a plan. Send it like this. Install as dev dependency. Create a Vitis config. Against the test database. Test fixtures and mocks. Email delivery test. Preference and eligibility test. Okay. Core pipeline is my notifications. Type check, create tests, every me documenting. Documenting relevant files to create All right. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with Vitest, but I'm just gonna go ahead and let it start implementing, and then I will learn as I go. Not gonna break my app, but I do need eventually to wire up some tests, so why not now? Okay, let's go implement phase one. Gottlieb, what up? How much time did it take from start to current stage? Shoot, it's kind of been an off and on process for me. Um, I've worked between this one and a couple other apps, so there's been like a couple months in between where I didn't do it. But I first initially started this probably back in January. Didn't do much. Kind of sat for like a month and a half, 2 months, and then I've been full on probably like the last 2 to 3 weeks, I would say. So all in all, I would say probably about 5 weeks, maybe six, to get to this current stage. Probably could have done a little faster, but about 5, 6 weeks. Just a lot of like testing and a lot of like edge case stuff and fixes and small things and security issues that you gotta fill up and whatnot. But pretty much all in all, I'll say like 5 to 6 weeks prior to this point. The core functionality, I had that done in a week, but like all the extra features and figuring out the flow of everything and figuring out permissions and roles and all that stuff, that's when things get really complicated, quite honestly. All right, I think I got some process here. Let's see. Phase one implemented, added test script in my JSON, installed Vitest as a dev dependency, added config. All right, see. Define config test. So I'm probably gonna have to read those docs later on my offline to make sure this is set up properly, but just gonna run it. Here's my setup file. Migrate, clean database, close test database, test database. Before all, migrate. Okay. My test database is Drizzle. Process.env must be test pool, test database. All right, so it's trying to set up a test database URL, so I'm probably going to do that. Just keep that. Let's go implement phase two, which is test fixtures and mocks. Do want to add think. Does not have any constructor causing it doesn't make sense. Let's add that later. Phase 2. All right, use my emitter. Send notification email mog, send notification email. Function is undefined. All right, a mock-up real-time emitter. Publish and subscribe. All right, so yeah, I'm at the redocumentation on this because I'm assuming this is all just making mock-ups of my real-time emitter to basically run my test and reset afterwards. Infer, insert, port test DB, infer select. Default. All right, so it's creating my test user, creating a test organization, and a test member, test client, test project test. All right, so this is just creating all my database, basically, all my test fake information. Here's in member notification settings. All right, let's go. Next phase, gotta implement, let's see, email delivery test, and then preference of me test, core pipeline test. All right, so we're going to be learning how to use Vitest together. Guides. V-test. I'm saying Vitest. It's pronounced as V-test, okay? Yes, it is V. You can learn more rationale. Yes. Test verify the output of function adds 2 numbers. Import some test. Came to test or not spec, okay. Following section I did. Configuring, default, see the config reference. Oh, so I actually have a extension, so I might install that. Wolflight, what up? Am I currently just in a learning phase, or do I have a project in mind you are working towards? Both. I actually have a project that I've been building the last few weeks, fully already set up, just kind of doing the finishing touches. I'm just currently also learning how to use VTest in my setup because I've never done that. So also doing that, but yeah, this is my app that I've had in mind that I've been building the last few weeks. Basically, it's a project management app for I don't know. Let me restart my server. Refresh that. Waiting on this. All right, there we go. Yeah, so basically that this is my app. I have a name and everything set up, but do that later. But basically, it's a project and client management app where you can create your workspaces. You can invite people into it to work with you. You have clients. You can create projects that need to be done for clients. For example, here's a completed one. You can take them from basically onboarding and communication. You can hit all communication and onboarding here. You can send tasks for them to complete that can lead to, outside sources like Google Forms or Google Docs or Google Drive or whatever, your DocuSign, whatever you need. Basically, you have a full task completion flow where you create tasks for clients to complete, and they can ask for revisions or updates and back and forth. You can get approval and stuff, and it's just basically taking the client through the entire project process, especially for freelancers and businesses that do a lot of contract work, and you can create notes for your team and stuff like that. But this is actually the app that I already have set up. So yeah, it's both. Learning, still learning, always learning. There's always so many tools out there that I don't know that I'm trying to learn. One of those right now is VTest, but in general, this is already pretty set up. It is just one of the apps that I've built more than a few. All right, VTest, configure VTest. If you're using V, you want to have a different configuration testing. Map does use V system React router, so I don't need to do that. Pass config, open to CLI, use process environment, VTest remote brand. To configure V yourself and add test program, you also need a reference type. Define config. You can add. Don't. Default options expand if needed. Using a separate config and changes, you can also extend these options with another config. You can also use configuration. All right, so I'm going to definitely do a deep dive on this offline, but probably watch some videos and some tutorials and kind of figure out the best way of implementing this. But right now, I'm going to let my agent see what he can do, and then let's give that a test. All right, so it created what is it? A notification email test file. Again. Honestly, if my agent could write all my tests and I never have to touch tests and creating tests again, and it does it very well, that will pay for itself 1,000 times over. If I don't have to ever write tests again, I can just let my agents do that 1,000% using that every single time. So I'm hoping it's setting this up properly. All right, so it's just all my different kind of scenarios of notifications and being sent. Can read what it did. Wolf Light, smart idea, long time IT pro. I know in my current industry, one of the toughest things for an org is the onboarding process, making sure that the org's needs are met by new employees and that the new employee needs are met vis-a-vis HRX, training, documentation. There are a few really good onboarding solutions at the moment. Yeah, that is kind of my, I've started freelancing basically and kind of doing work on the side and building apps and building websites for people. And I just found that process to be extremely frustrating and my least favorite part of it. I hate having to email back and forth with people, and you can never really control what people understand about what you're doing. So like a lot of times it leads to like 5, 10, multiple different kind of thread emails just to get one thing kind of accomplished, and having to go back through those emails and find what was said and like forward messages that they missed. It just gets very, very messy and annoying. And especially when you start working with other people within like maybe a small company or startup or whatever, because I help some of those, and like understanding that they have literally zero process to get a client from start to finish. And it's very, very frustrating, especially working in a group, because I don't know all the conversations that have been had. I don't know what's been done. I don't know what needs to be done. I don't want to have to ask somebody to fill me in every single time I need to do like something small. So that's kind of like, that was pretty much the birth of why I was like, there's got to be a better solution. And what I've seen is either like super heavy handed in terms of like, you have to pay for all these extra features and everything that I probably don't need, and I just need to handle this part of the process, especially if I'm just like a small freelancer. And then otherwise, it's just very kind of shockingly unintuitive. And obviously, there's things like Notion and other that, but I just felt like it just wasn't super friendly. So I was like, I'm building my skills, so why not? What's the best way to learn than to build an app that you're actually going to personally use? And if other people use that, it'd be dope. If my web app has a web present tools like Selenium can be used to run tests against it. My former employee swore by it, writing tests that input data into the web app, ensuring DB entries worked correctly, records were changed, etc., and the output was expected. No, I mean, Selenium. No, I can't say I have Selenium. I've actually heard the name, but I'm not that familiar. But if there's a way to handle tests easier, I'll definitely go check it out. I think I have what's the one Five Century. I use that on a couple of my apps. I don't pay for it. I kind of use it for just basic testing and just examining what breaks. But Five Century, I don't know if that's similar to Selenium, but I might need to start paying for my Century subscription, because writing tests is probably my least favorite kind of aspect of getting something live. But now I'm thinking about it, it's probably not the same, because Century is more of a like a monitor for the actual application to make sure it's healthy. So like I can check like downtimes and all that. So my current employer uses Eggplant for devs. Huh. Yeah, there's just always so many names that get thrown out that I kind of like I've heard about that I have not gotten a chance to check. And honestly, my ability with tests isn't quite at the level it probably should be. But I'm definitely gonna like have to start learning that if you're gonna start building like some serious apps. So I definitely gonna go through a whole learning journey on that side for sure. You're on the infrastructure side of the house, infrastructure engineer for multi-billion-dollar credit union. Hey, it's dope, man. So it sounds like you're pretty skilled. Sounds like you know what you're doing. How long you been in software development, engineering, however you want to say it? All right, so it says phase 3 is implemented with the full email delivery test suite. My notifications email, immediate delivery, sends for immediate users, skips non-immediate, surprises ineligible notifications. So it basically just runs through all my tests that I would normally have. All right, that looks good. Let's go. What am I, phase 4? A long time, close to retirement age. Never stop learning. Hey man, congrats. It's hard. It's hard out there, especially nowadays. Things changing so fast. So I mean, what do you feel about all the changes that have been happening since you're already close to retirement? You might not be feeling those effects necessarily as much as some of us are. But with the use of AI and all these extra tools and people kind of like changing the culture of it. So what do you kind of think about that? You started way back in with basic, COBOL, Pascal. Went from doing basic program to working the build and infrastructure as code science. Okay. So like your way around pretty much everything. That's what it sounds like. You love AI. Okay. I mean, the first time I started learning like full time, I didn't touch AI for like the first 8 months when I was like coding and building things, just because I really wanted to learn and understand what the code was doing. But since I have started like getting a little stronger with it, I have started implementing it more and letting the agent do more and more. And I don't really miss writing every single line of code. I will say that it has its issues, but I certainly see strengths of it and use it regularly. Yeah, I mean, especially nowadays in jobs. I've done like one or two contract jobs for people and working with others. Almost pretty much a requirement for most employers. So like I figured might as well learn how to code alongside it if you're gonna do that. Make sure it counts regularly and explains its works. Yeah. I that is one thing I've started to notice that I've started to do is like go back in and tell to I also do a lot of like cleanup because it makes a lot of bloat and reuses a lot of code sometimes. And then I always kind of go back in and be like, hey, reduce this down, make some shared hooks, and then give me some clear comments to understand everything that's happening. But I pretty much read through all the code that gets almost implemented before. I'm not at that point where I can comfortable just letting it do everything. I used to code Python to kids. I used to tell them to write pseudocode first. Though pseudocode becomes the comments and helps direct with the code. Absolutely. Absolutely. I sometimes do that actually. I'll like write out some pseudocode and then kind of understand what I want it to do. And then I will tell my agent to basically go back in and wire it up properly. So would you consider yourself like I kind of make two kind of distinctions between like a coder, that's somebody that loves the actual coding and programming parts of it, or like a builder. I definitely consider myself to be more of a builder and like this building systems and connecting systems and figuring out how all systems should work. That's definitely more the side I'm on than necessarily loving all of the coding parts. I enjoy it, but I enjoy actually building systems more than writing the code. All right, phase four, new eligibility test suite, client recipient behavior, always allow for client user test notifications. Basically, this is just redoing what I've already done throughout my app and putting it into a test function so it knows and it checks all the different variables within it. Let's do that. As an infrastructure engineer, it's about making sure the systems all work cohesively. Yeah, I mean that's the part I probably enjoy the most for sure. Is putting all those different pieces together and having it hum. Like that's a great feeling. And like I said, I'm definitely more of a builder. I like being able to take ideas and start them from nothing and, see it fully kind of visualize and functioning and make sure like all these disparate parts somehow click and work together. It's made it a lot harder, the learning process. I'll say that because you have to learn so many different things and like there's never ending kind of information and ways of doing things and tools and don't get started on hosting and backends and all that, but like having to get all that together and like when you kind of figure all that out, those pieces, those puzzle pieces, that's definitely a euphoric moment for me. All right, so phase five is the last one. I think phase six is the last. Do some verifications to the testing. So existing virtual mocking needed for the DB layer. More reliable when tested. Good managed on transaction. Mock scope. Only postmark email sending and read is time remarked. Local. Local test DB setup only. GitHub Actions broker server again separately. Created step and setup. Or do you prefer to me? All right, let's see what I added. Again, taking my notifications core. Basically, it's taking all my service files already here and just creating test versions of it. And I'm not going to go through every single line side. you discovered my channel by looking for people at low viewer count and wanting to show support. I mean, I appreciate the support. Appreciate you tuning in and hopping in. I literally just started live streaming, live coding probably like a week ago, but trying to get more consistent for sure as I kind of build things out and talk things out. It also helps me, and like connecting with people that are also kind of doing the same thing. It's an honor to see somebody demonstrate that the dumb jock image does not apply to all athletes. No, it does not. There's actually a lot of very smart athletes out there that I've had the pleasure of running into. I just don't think that they understand that there's other things that they can get into outside of, sports and something physical. I tell a lot of my teammates and homies all the time, like, you're smart. Like, you don't have to go into media or coaching. You can kind of use your brain somewhere else. I'd be bored if I was doing just sports for the rest of my life, quite honestly. But I appreciate you definitely tuning in. Remember, there are probably a dozen or more different ways to code around a problem. Absolutely. That's something I'm definitely learning more and more, and kind of trying to figure out the different ways of doing things and better ways of doing things. And like, I've always find myself kind of coming back to old code and like re-optimizing it. And because like, oh, I can actually do it like this. It's definitely a never ending journey. It seems to me. It's definitely challenging, but I enjoy it. All right, let's see. Automatic dependency. All right, here's a README. These tests use a real Postgres database for some regulations. During test startup, create a dedicated test DB. This is separate. All right, let me set up my ENV to work properly. Uh, yeah, I'm definitely going to read some tutorials about VTest. It's probably my next thing I'm going to do offline and start using it. And probably maybe if it works, I'm going to use it with all my other apps because I need to set up some better testing. Or I'll look into Selenium. If y'all got some suggestions for me, best way to kind of quickly set up some tests, I'm open. Sure, everything still works. Cool. All right. Posh2248, what up? Let's make the next kick. I mean, if you got like $100 million, $50 million laying around, I'll build it for you because that's gonna cost a lot of money to run and upkeep. Start Postgres, compose up, create a separate test DB inside that Postgres instance. Okay. Just vibe it. I mean, if anybody could just vibe a full-on kick alternative, I mean, I'm sure they've already tried. I just don't think it's as easy as you think it is. And the code isn't even the problem with that. Honestly, the backend and the infrastructure with hosting, and because you're using a lot of data and a lot of information and optimization, yeah, I would not touch that. But yeah, just vibe it. Go ahead. You know, if there's Curse out there. Cloud Code can do it for you. Hmm. How do I? What do I plan on vibing? Nothing. Honestly, like I haven't vibed a single thing. I code with agents all the time, hand in hand for sure. Like I let it do a lot of the code generation. But in terms of vibing, when I hear vibe code, I assume you mean just tell it to build the entire app from front to end and kind of do everything that it needs to basically just start and run up and handle all authentication, handle all that, and get wired up to a host. So if that's what you mean by vibing, then no, I don't actually vibe. I use it as a tool, a very powerful tool that helps me figure out problems and plan things out and do, fix some issues and bugs. But I still do a ton of actual hands-on coding myself. I just don't trust it, honestly. Like I just don't trust it. There's just so many security issues with vibe coding that I would never put a production up that is just vibe coded. Me personally. Yeah. Appreciate the follow. I mean, you say you talking about vibe coding. Like, have you vibe coded something? I'd be interested. Wolf Flight. I take it that question come from YouTube viewer. YouTube viewer. Actually, no, it came from a Kick viewer. But there's a lot of vibe coders out there that there's people I've met out there that be vibe coding. They cool people. It's just I don't think people actually know how unsafe it actually is. The things that it does. Like if you don't really know what the code is outputting, you don't know what you're reading. There have been some serious issues that I've noticed that I'm just personally not at a point where I would feel comfortable launching an entire production app that takes money and client and people's information and putting it online. And I wouldn't even use an app that's completely vibe coded personally. Now, if it was just some throwaway app, cool. But if it's something that takes user information, takes payments and all that, and yeah, wouldn't touch it. All right. Figuring out this Docker setup is kind of, let me see, start. Check my YAML. Let me create this test database. Bones, execute my Postgres. User, just user, and then start it in development. Use my onboarding database. Then go into my create. Test. Okay. Execute Postgres. User. If you see it already exists at the Posh. I made a reminder app for my meetings so I don't forget stuff. I mean, it's good for that. Like honestly, like I mean, if I was gonna vibe code stuff, it would be for personal use for sure because I'm not worried about security or optimization or having it like work as it's supposed to at all times and not having to manage load and backend. But I think the moment you start vibe coding something and then you start to deploy it, like let's say on a VPS and kind of like implement it with the backend and handle all those other services that you aren't going to have to kind of figure out how to run and use properly, it can be a nightmare. So like I would vibe code a personal kind of app, like a reminder app for sure, 1000%. But like a full production app, I'm not at that point where I would feel comfortable doing that. Keep it normal. Okay, so let me create a separate. All right. Cool. All right. In my test. All right, try to figure this out in terms of setting my database. Wolf like commenting over here as an infrastructure guy. One of the things so many coders slash app developers forget about is the backend and how it all has to be functional. 1000%. 1000%. As I started to build and deploy like some like I would say fairly significant apps, is that deployment is honestly one of the biggest pain points out of everything. And then like making sure everything works in those environments is it's a wake up call, I would say. Like I was like once I started doing that and like learning back end and learning how to host and learning how to set up servers and handle all the things like that with proxies and just everything else, is just like I don't understand how people do that with just a vibe coded app and do it safely because there's just so many issues. Does it need a DB backend? Does it need instantiate servers to sign up to spin up under load? Does it need sufficient bandwidth to handle user load and data transfer? How much storage space? Exactly. Like just the amount of things that you have to figure out on that back end. Like, yeah, I wouldn't trust it, man. Like, I just don't understand. Like, that is a hard process, and it's only gets harder as the app continues to grow because things can break. Well, not can things will break, and then trying to figure out why on your server, your production, it's not working the same way it works in your local, or it's just there's no way you can just completely vibe code that from front to back. I'm sorry, it just can't. And then just the amount of security things that you need to understand before you can even like properly set something up. Like if you don't know the basic security that you need to set up on a server, you're in for a world of hurt. And then if you don't understand, or you can just use obviously like something like Vercel or one of those and just pay something skyrocketing fees, which I'd rather not do. So I just learned how to kind of spin up my own VPSs. And once you kind of start doing that, you kind of realize like, oh, okay, there's a lot that I still need to learn. Um, Wait, let me see. So okay, I placed it. I remember I was talking to somebody the other day. I forget his name. He's actually cool. But he basically vibe coded a whole like AI kind of like avatar app website that is actually in production and running. And he says he's just vibe coded literally everything. It doesn't fully understand the syntax and what's happening in the code. And I was just like, okay, so how do you manage it? How do you maintain it? Because trying to maintain something with a growing code base with AI that doesn't have full context and loses context, I don't understand how that doesn't break your site. And his little answer was, oh, it breaks it all the time. I get errors all the time that he wakes up to and needs to somehow vibe code and fix that. And I'm just like, that sounds like a nightmare to me. Like, you don't even know what's happening in your code and you're throwing it at it. And you don't even know what other problems it's opening because I guarantee it's opening other problems. Programmers will be AI babysitters in the future. I mean, they low key are already. Like, I mean, like, no different, but you still need to know what you're doing. You still need to understand. Like, if I'd be cool with it if you were understand. Hey, Wolf, I appreciate it. Wife almost on, keep the effort, following on 3 platforms, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining. But programmers will be AI babysitters. I don't even consider that an insult. Like, it's cool. Like, it doesn't bother me. I just know that you still need to at least understand what it's doing because if you don't think AI can make mistakes and it doesn't, it definitely 1,000% does. Ask Amazon. They literally took down their entire AWS service because of a vibe coded effort. It's just kind of like, the more you know, the less problems you run into. That's all I say. I say you should definitely continue to learn what is actually happening, even if you don't fully code everything yourself. All right. All right, let's try this test and see. Oh shoot, that's not good. All right, so I'm running some tests here, seeing if my V test is properly set up. Test notification eligibility, email test, error test DB URL must be set before running test. Okay, so let me clean that up. I don't know why it's not reading it. I have the oh, did not load .uv test from the current run, even though the file exists, but it's not running in test mode in your shell context. The UV file is not being picked up from the repo. Early enough for DB and quick. It's unblocked right now and said explicitly. All right, let's do this. Explicitly. PM test. All right, now let's check this. I was getting an environment error. Now, all right. So I'm getting another failed test. But my environment variable is getting picked up, so I'm gonna need to figure out test notification treats assigning scope none as a no filter for owner error. Failed query. So a lot of these are failed queries. All right. So it's something with my database. Connection refused. So yeah, something with my database is not finding my DB. Let's see. Failed query. All right, so I'm getting a DB error. My test database is not getting picked up for some reason. So serialized errors. All right, let's just copy this. Ask my errors. Should email notification. Test failed, 12 skips. So, all right. So I need to figure out why my vtest test DB is not quite connecting to my test DB. Test process. All right. Yep. See, it's connecting to my wrong DB environment, so falls back to local default instead of my Docker DB. Hide that. Uses my test database URL or DB URL, but the SAP service is under test import DB from action reads only. Missing even with the only set test database runtime code still needs database on the Sherlock redirect. Quick fix now. Set both environments before testing. Persist fix in better long-term code fix and setup. All right, let's come here. Save that environment and then yeah, go ahead. All right, so I need to add some guards to my setup. It is getting confused between which environment variable should be using for my test versus my kind of production local DB. Let's add in a guard here. If there is no database and I have a test DB, then my database URL should equal. That should fix that issue. Can't see what I was doing. Yeah. When I'm dealing with certain, environment variables and other stuff, I cannot show that on screen. Cool. Much better. As you know, actually, I'm still getting errors. What's going on? All right. Insert failed query. So I'm still failing my query somewhere. Let's try this. All right. So more digging. I have not used vtest before, so I need to figure out why it's not picking the right environment variable. Because all my 5 tests passed, 21 failed, and all my test files failed. So I just copy this whole error stack if I can. I just copy something and feed it to it, see what it says. Still. I was coding back in the 90s. I mean, I ain't that old, so I don't know. I wasn't coding in the 90s. I can tell you how coding was not even like 10 years ago. And coding 10 years ago was, I wouldn't say it was line by line. You're doing a lot more copy and paste. So, I mean, a lot of these functions and things that you, well, the actual, all right, I'll put it this way. So the actual code that you're going to be using is going to be a lot of copy and paste. So you have a lot of same kind of setups for most sites back then. You come up with the core structure and you just reuse that pretty much all over the place for your visual code. And then for the back end was kind of line by line. When the actual functionality, yeah, when you need to figure out the functionality, it was pretty much a line by line kind of affair. But most kind of things that you needed for basic kind of apps and web stuff, it wasn't too complicated, honestly. So like a lot of that was just fairly standard things that people were already kind of doing, but you were maybe finding different ways of accomplishing those things, basically. And then, there was a whole foreign place called Stack Overflow, which is pretty much dead at this point. But if you had any issues or problems and you needed some help, instead of running to AI, you would run to a forum. You run to Stack Overflow and you would ask for help. And then maybe you'd get it within a day, maybe within the week, maybe with months, maybe you never got an answer, but you basically ask other people in the field for help if you ran into problems. But yeah, you pretty much did it line by line. Like it was definitely a lot of hands-on coding, and the actual coding part was a barrier for a lot of people. But obviously, since that barrier is gone, it's pretty much all shifted to implementation and actually understanding like processes and how what is best practices, what's bad, and like what's good, what's bad, and basically optimization. So like the actual implementation and planning and actually understanding scope has become a much bigger thing because coding is no longer the main barrier. But back in the day, yeah, it was definitely more. It was much slower. I would say that this app took me, I don't know, 5 to 6 weeks probably to get it to this point. What I'll say is an MVP version to get up that I'd be confident in saying like this is a good production app. 5 to 6, probably somebody who's more skilled, more experienced could do this in maybe 3 to 4. But back in the day, yeah, this was months. This was months, and you need teams, honestly. All right, so here's what it's saying. Got 2 issues: a hoisted mock bug in the test file and DB race conditions from parallel test file. So this was no longer my environment variable issue, which is good. And then it's going to patch both of these so tests can run deterministically. It's patched both proof causes. I'll run type check and then run test to confirm whether failures. 34, 35. All right. So it was actually a issue in the code, which is actually a good sign. So I'm connected to my test database and it's getting it properly and starting so I can run tests. So now I can figure out basically any future issues. It's all code based. Hoisted mock crash. Changed schedule to use hoisted so it exists before. Okay, so basically it was orders, basically issues. Functions that should have happened before were not happening, and then that caused crashes. Disable cross file. Okay. Let's see. I should be a teacher. I don't think I got the patience for that, quite honestly. Like, I love helping people out because that's honestly how I learned early on, is from other people kind of offering advice and tips and things how to like do things before. Obviously, like I said, Stack Overflow, but like full time teaching, I don't think I got the patience for that. Send immediate notification emails. Okay, so it brought this up from where it was, making sure this is called before everything else, and then it added a testdb insert. Maybe they moved it. Got rid of crypto. All right, that's good. And then file parallelism, basically, so it doesn't happen all at the same time. All right. Caro, you're what up? What's going on? You back in your courses today? All right, let's try this again. So npm test. Oh, hey, it works. Figured it out. Um, that might be life changing for me. I'm not gonna lie. Because I've been doing a lot of manual testing, and that shit gets tedious, especially when you're dealing with a lot of edge cases. So this, if I can just set up all my tests early on to handle all of these different conditions basically and test it and make sure it functions like it should because it's tied to my real actual DB. Wow. All right, that's life changing. That's life changing. I'm definitely I'm a test guy now. I'm definitely a test guy now. So this is what I was all manually, literally running through and testing all today. Is true for client message notifications. Allow owner roles when owner notifications are everything. Allow owner assign notifications when recipient is task assignee. Basically every single thing I manually checked, which I still will do some manual checking. It literally just ran through in what, less than 30 seconds. Make sure that digest his hand suppresses. Sends my weekly digest when 7-day window has elapsed. Send daily digest when 24-hour window has elapsed. Notifications core publishes real time. Oh, life changing. Absolutely life changing. Yeah, I'm a test guy from now on. What I used to do, like I kind of mentioned before, was scripts. I used to actually create script files and then like manually run those script files to check everything, and I'd get like comments and stuff saying, "Oh, this got sent after 7 days, got sent that day." But if I can just skip all that and just use test from now on, time saving. Okay, I'm about to do a deep dive over this next week about V-test and testing because this is a must. Carol finished for today, bro. Russian and Japanese. Damn, dog. How many languages you learning? You said Arabic, Russian, Japanese. You know English. What's the term? What's the term when you know multiple languages? Polyglot? Is that what it is? Look at that. Polyglot? Is that what it is? You trying to be a polyglot? I mean, I'll be over here with my English and my struggle Spanish and my struggle Italian, and if I can get fluent in Spanish, I'll be happy. I'll be good with that. I'll be good with that. Over here, Jason Bourne. All right, man, that was a big moment for me. Testing changed my life. That just made figuring out issues so much faster and making sure things function the way they're supposed to so much cleaner and easier. So, all right, so I'm definitely gonna have to set up testing for every other kind of aspect of this app from now on. And then when I go production, what I know I'm gonna have to do, because I use GitHub Actions, is I'm going to have to wire it up into the deployment kind of process. So before anything is deployed, it's gonna run through my test, which I might use Playwright for. I don't know if I have to. It'll run my test and make sure everything's good to go. Everything's good to go. It can go ahead and deploy. It's going to prevent breaking deployments, honestly. So like that was definitely eye-opening, game-changing. Okay, V-test. I'm gonna have to turn into a testing mastermind here, probably because I'm gonna implement this in literally every one of my apps from now on. Spanish, also looking for a good Mandarin class. Goddamn, you are trying to learn every language on the planet. Shit, how many do you know? How many do you know? Like, I would say fluently. How many do you know fluently right now? And what would you say is the easiest to learn? All right, guys, that was a good moment. That was a great moment. So all my notifications are set up. I know my emails. Oh, well, let me start my server. Actually, before that, let's add a commit. That's a big moment. All right, full restart. Let's go. Come on now. Oh, shoot. I know why. Hold on. I think I'm like tapped into my test DB maybe. What's going on there? Hmm. All right. So there's one more thing I need to learn about testing. I think I'm signed into my test database. I think it's happening because I set up a test DB with its own kind of environment variables and everything. I think what is happening is that I'm still kind of stuck into that one. So let's commit that. Wait, cancel. What probably happened? You sent DB URL to. Sure did. The guard only runs under retest. It does not affect normal. The shoes usually shall not language. That weird guy official. What's good? What up? What's going on? How's your day slash evening slash night? Don't know where you are. How's that going? Carol, I'm most comfortable in English and Spanish, but to that I say fluency is a trap I don't want to fall into. Okay. I mean, I always say like you're not really truly fluent until you start like kind of like living or spending extensive time in another country because obviously you know what you learn is what you learn, but then the locals speak differently than what you generally learn just from any class. So like I didn't really start learning Spanish until I was in Spanish countries, and I didn't really start learning Italian until I spent like 5+ years in Italy. And then the way I speak some Italian to people, they'd be like, "That's not correct," but that's how they talk. So that's what I consider to be fluent. Is just if you can literally speak like a local, which honestly doesn't come with most just classes. But that's impressive. I mean, you definitely collecting all the languages. Um, sorry, so I need to clean this. Check current DB MV. See. Yeah, that's what I thought. So I'm in the wrong database. Clear this. Let's remove this. Start in a new one. Posh 2248. What was I doing in Italy? I used to hoop, man. I used to be a professional hooper, so I played in Serie A for 6 years in Italy, all over Italy. Pretty much north to south. So I spent an extensive time, 6 years basically in total. I have spent playing in Italy, and then a few other places throughout Europe. Cairo. Yeah, that makes that's the main difference. Personally, I'm learning it for the purpose of reading certain stuff. Okay, yeah. I mean, like I'm pretty fluent. Like when it comes to reading in Spanish, I can pretty much read everything, and same with Italian. It's always just having that quickness and ability to just recall when you're actually having a conversation or like being in the country. That doesn't really come until you get around people or like just immerse yourself in it. But reading, yeah, reading is a big plus, and you can definitely learn that just from courses. I was good at reading in all languages pretty much, except for the ones that use what's it called? Use the symbols basically. Like in Russia and Ukraine, I couldn't read shit. Japan and China and all that, like that'd be a difficult thing for me. But like any other kind of Latin based language that reading I can get pretty quickly. All right, let's commit this. Wait, where's all right, so I should be able to sign in now. Let's refresh. Oh, and I am. All right, cool. All right, so test saved me a ton of time, and I'm gonna have to start really learning that and implementing that in pretty much everything I do. But basically, all my email notifications have been verified. It respects what is set here. It tested also my notifications in terms of my workspace settings. So it also respects all these as an owner, project lead, as an assignee. This all gets respected, and tests were able to kind of run through that pretty quickly for me. So testing is the way, guys. Testing is definitely the way. That weird guy official dude, what chats do you respond to? I respond to all of them. I'm currently live on Twitch, YouTube, and Kick, so I get chats from all different channels. Right now I was talking to people from Kick, and now you from YouTube. But Caro, looks like things are going well on your end as well. Oh man, it's been a process. I will say that it's definitely been a process. I thought notifications were gonna take me a day. Funny joke. Whenever you think that you can actually get anything done in a day, it always ends up being like 3 days. But I've made some major milestones in terms of like learning some things that I will never have to run into again. So learning how to handle notifications and emails, and then learning how to test all that, because manually testing that is a fucking pain in the ass. But yeah, I've definitely made a lot of progress. I've tightened everything up, pretty much finalized all the like design and styles and like views and everything. And then just cleaning up basic stuff. So I got to do finish the notifications, and then I need to finish like a couple permissions for roles, basically for projects, and then I will be able to get this up on my server. That weird guy official. Do I got Discord? I do. I don't know I have a Discord user account. I don't have like a Discord server. I'd have to dust that thing off. But if you want to find me and send me an invite, if you got a server or something, you can add me. I think my Discord is IAMDHunt, IAMDHUNT. I'm pretty sure that's what my Discord is. And major milestones in terms of like, I just feel like I'm secure if you want to get me installed again. I've just felt that I'm secure if you want to get me installed again. I don't know what you mean. I just felt that I'm secure if you want to get me. I don't know what you mean, but major milestones in terms of building this app out, basically, and also major milestones in terms of learning how to implement tests. I basically, for the first time, I implemented a full test suite. I used to be test for the first time. I didn't know how to configure it. Obviously, the agent did most of it, but I kind of learned the benefits of testing very firsthand, because I was doing a lot of manual testing and using scripts for testing, and then being able to switch over to a test framework and implement it and learn how to build those out was a big kind of milestone for me. And what I'm building here, I'll get to that in a second. Posh2248, can I TLDR my life story? TLDR, let's see. I won't obviously go back to the beginning, but I've bounced around a lot. I was a military kid. Both my parents were military, so I've kind of lived all over the place growing up. As the title says, I used to be a pro hooper, so I started hooping since I was probably like, a little kid. I went to college. I went to Division I college. I played at University of Nevada for 4 years, played there at a high level. Went to the G League, did the draft, did summer league, was very close to getting to the league. Kind of like always borderline, but I needed to get paid, so I went overseas, started hooping over there, and I kind of just stuck there and started playing for like 13, 14 years. I've been everywhere between Italy, France, Greece, Australia, just all over the place hooping. And been doing that for like the last 13, 14 years. I've always kind of developed on the side, and now I'm basically trying to make this a kind of my full-time pursuit. I currently do a couple of freelancing. Well, I do some freelancing, and I do some like stuff like that for people, and kind of get my name out there in terms of that. And then also trying to build some apps that I want to build on my own, and kind of like learning the process and getting better at this and becoming a little bit more what I would consider professional. I don't consider myself necessarily a coder or loving the coding part of it necessarily, but I do love building. I'm definitely a builder, and I like being able to build systems and make everything kind of connect and work as I see in my head. And other than that, like I have another kind of side thing that I've been doing for a long time. It's called Living Life Fearless. It's a full on kind of like media brand, media website, media company that I've been doing for like the last like 10, 12 years, where we cover a lot of musicians and filmmakers and artists and stuff like that, where we do interviews and collabs with them. So that is the TLDR, pretty much my life story to this point, I would say. And now I am trying to basically go pro in coding, basically. Um, you're that weird guy. You're an engineer, 15 years. Okay, damn. So you know what you're doing. Like you've been around. So what part of software engineering are you in? Like, do you work for a company? Do you code and build on your own? Kind of what kind of stage are you in? And you said you're mostly a vibe coder now, so I think that's pretty much everybody's days. Like a lot of people use agents to do a lot of the coding, but what do you guys? So I'm assuming you're not like hating this whole AI kind of revolution that's going on. Me, you work for yourself, okay? That's what's up. That's definitely what I plan on doing, and hopefully getting there. The process. You had your own business for 5 years, worked at Google as a contractor before. You're not hating your different school. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been engineering for 15 years. I remember I built my first app on Ruby on Rails. Actually, that was probably like 12 years ago, and I just remember that process being completely different than it is today. And using Stack Overflow and all those other resources was definitely a much longer process. And I enjoy the ability to kind of scaffold and prototype things very quickly, and then still kind of like dipping into my skills in terms of programming, what they are. And I like that kind of hand in hand ability that you can have with AI. So I don't need to run to forums to ask for questions, and I don't need to collaborate with 10 different people. So I think it's pretty rewarding at this stage. So I would definitely agree with you. You work at more good software startup now. Okay. You said it was more rewarding when you did build the old way and you actually did the work. Actually, yeah, I agree. Like whenever you kind of build anything with your own two hands and your own processes, like it's definitely like a better feeling. Like I did that, but I still get the same feeling, like not necessarily from the actual building from it, but like understanding how like user experience and all that like other parts of programming and engineering. That's the part like that I really love. But accomplished feelings don't pay bills at 1,000%. 1,000%. I always tell people, like, they always be like, you don't just vibe code, like you don't hate vibe coding, AI. It's like, no, because if you're gonna work for somebody, you're gonna work in a company. That's pretty much the requirements these days. And why would you kind of handicap yourself and not understand how to code it both ways? So you said you worked for yourself. Did you build apps? Did you build software for yourself, the like production? And did you try to like run your own businesses that way? Or were you just kind of like building for other people? All right, what was I checking? Okay, now I got testing set up, I can probably wire up the rest of my notifications. Let's just see what I can do. Um, all right. Now I need to finish wiring up notifications for the following part of my app. Completion. Owners / leads. You said you just built this MCP. Okay, that's what's up. If I remember correctly, is MCP, is that just a basic way for like AI to connect and can like communicate with other services? If I'm thinking about it correctly, you're mostly private dev all my life, trying to be more public. Okay, I guess what would you kind of see like the pros and cons between the two? You being a private dev versus like a public one. All right. Let me figure this out. Owner / lead should only get notified. All right. Owner / leads notified on completion / approval and revision request. Notified of all except completion. And projects. Client notified in app of invitation and cancellation. Owner / leads notified of start / cancellation. Coding agents or chat agents. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought it was. I'm not that familiar with like the actual coding of AI, and like I've used basic implementation in certain apps I've done, but I've like fully dived into that kind of side of things. So pretty foreign to me. This is the Next.js app. Actually, no, it's a React Router 7. My first few apps I ever built were on Next.js with that, but I don't love that kind of process, and I didn't love Next.js, and I didn't love Vercel and the way that works. So I used React. So I switched to React Router 7, which used to be Remix, and I'm very much happy with that versus Next.js, and that's pretty much how I build all my apps now, at least in that language. All right, owner / leads notified of start / cancellation. Invitations. User notified in app of invite. Owner / admin. Acceptance. Workspaces. Member leaving. Member notified of remove. Need email notifications. All right. If I deploy to Cloudflare, it's gonna be fucking faster. Honestly, this is probably gonna be my first app that I'm gonna try to use with Cloudflare. Other ones I've had, I've just had my own kind of personal VPS that I've been running them on with my own kind of setup there with like, proxies and all that. But Cloudflare is definitely something that I'm probably going to look into using for this one and kind of testing out there and figuring out how all that works. I know they do really good with like DDoS and obviously being able to be available in multiple regions. So this is the first app that I'm probably going to try to use to deploy to Cloudflare into my VBS for sure. Posh 2248. I don't like PHP, Lua, or Python or use them. I've used PHP back in the day, especially when I was like doing some custom things for people's WordPresses and like understanding that side of things. But I don't really use it personally in my own apps. I like React Router 7 because it's a full framework that allows me to basically do front end and back end pretty easily. And Python is something that I definitely want to learn next. It's probably the next language I'm gonna try to like learn and kind of get kind of pretty confident with. But from what I hear, it's not too difficult. But that weird guy, not sure what your infrastructure is. Anyways, my infrastructure is basically I use Superbase for my DBs. I have Drizzle for my ORM to actually talk to my DB. I have, like I said, my own VPS, which I use. Obviously, I use a Redis server for my real-time SSEs, and then I have a proxy set up and just normal stuff like that. Just a typical kind of thing. And then I use a few different services for like hosting files. I'm probably going to start switching over to Cloudflare R2. Sorry for blowing you up. Woke up late, took an Adderall late, and drank coffee. Yeah, it's all good, man. And definitely use my MCP. It's for helping agents write Cloudflare code, workers configuration. I mean, shoot, send me the link, man. I'll check it out. Check it out because I definitely haven't used Cloudflare, so I definitely need to get familiar with that as much as I can. All right, let me shoot this plan. So since I already have testing set up, I should be able to easily plug these next notifications I want. I have my email set up. I have real-time notifications. Now I just need additional scoping to handle certain tasks. So I'm going to tell it to go ahead and wire this plan up. Can you provide implementation plan for this? I mean, I see the text. I'll copy it, add it to my note editor, and I'll find it. Check out the repro. Yeah, I definitely will. I definitely plan on. I'll check it out. I'm not quite at deployment yet, but hopefully I'll be there by the end of this week, and I'll definitely check it out because Cloudflare is definitely something I want to start using. All right, so if I can get this done, I'll probably end this stream tonight. But this is the last few things I want. I'm basically telling Opus right now to give me a plan of implementation for my project completions and my certain notifications that I need to wire up. So for project completion, owners should be notified on completion approval. Client, basically just typically what I've been doing, just extending all my notifications to my other areas. And then once that is done, that is pretty much it for notifications outside of setting up notification deletion. That's another thing I need to fire up. And then after that, notification completely done. think I'm gonna need to probably extend my schema. Let's see. Project notification though. Yeah, so it's gonna create some enums probably for those additional tasks that I need. Just email notifications. No, I have in-app notifications. I've not set up a browser push yet. But for just this MVP version, I'm just gonna leave it to in-app and then emails and then kind of build out from there. Just trying to get this up as kind of quickly as I can. I actually already have a couple people, potential clients that already want to use it. So trying to get this up before the end of the week. So I'm just gonna leave it to in-app and email and then kind of build out from there. All right, come on now. It's taking a little while, but what I'm assuming is trying to figure out is probably gonna have to rewire some better off implementation and create some custom endpoints and hooks because I'm trying to also rewire when people leave a workspace slash organization which uses better offs implementation, and because I don't full delete, it's gonna have to wire up some custom endpoints and then create some custom notifications for that. So I think that's probably what's kind of stuck on right now. All right, I think it's almost done. Let me see. Another file. All right, here's my plan. Because this is basically all I need to do is wire up notifications for my projects, invitations, and workspaces. For project completion, lifecycle, and workspace invitations and membership. So let's see. Must become nullable. Workspace level notifications have no project workspace level. Let me understand this. Like I said, it's going to create a custom API endpoint for actually leaving a workspace because it can no longer rely on better off to handle that because it's adding some custom functionality to it, and I'm soft deleting instead of hard deleting a user. So custom endpoint wraps soft delete a notification, which I thought, and then only created for existing users. The notification state requires recipient. I need to understand why it needs to change my project ID table to be nullable. Let's see. So it's extending my enums, which I thought it would do, and then ID nullable on the notifications table in the same file. Interesting. And they just extend my notification infrastructure, which is pretty straightforward for all those different areas. And then all right, let me ask it about this one. Why does it need to be nullable? Some of the notifications you want are not tied to any project. Right now, your model assumes every notification. Okay, all right. So all my notifications I previously set up were all associated to a project. So it needs to change notification project ID to become nullable. All right, that makes sense. Client types project ID. Yep. Running Bill's project URLs from. That works for message test notification, but your new workflows are organization level. Okay. All right, that makes sense. So let's just start implementation. So it's gonna add my enums right here in my schema. It's gonna extend. Where is it? Probably gonna extend. Yeah, my notification type to include all of these extra ones. And then it should. Okay, so now my notification table was before not null. It removed that. Then it also updated my notification types in files that need it. Updated my project ID to be nullable. Same here, nullable, nullable, and nullable. All right. So let's generate that, and then all right, so that's done. Now let's go implement. Oh, let's run that type check. It should fix some type checks. Just tell Cloud to follow standard pub sub model. That is the standard for these kind of multi-tenant project management that support organization instrumentation with members coming in and out of expressing all kinds of. I mean, I already have. I do have actually emitters and pub sub already set up in general because I do get a lot of real time events, especially messages and tasks and notifications. So that is already kind of wired in. So it would be pretty easy to just kind of extend it. And I plan on doing that. Okay, setting some guards for typing so I don't get those errors. Cool. Now let's just implement phase 2. I mean, so how I normally handle my like real time messaging and events and things that need to happen. I have an Redis server set up with an emitter, and then I typically have multiple instances on my VPS, and so it can basically get published to all instances at the same time. So that's basically how I've done it in my production, and it's what I'm going to do here, and then kind of extend it from there. But yeah, I already have pub and sub and set up on pretty much all my apps. Is it? You said as well? Would you do it a different way? All right. If there's no notification, not project ID. some guards in case there's no project ID. Return. All right, this is just handle navigation. You said you're scared of hosting on a VPS. Made too many fuck ups in your life. I mean, that's how you learn, right? You gotta fuck up to learn. Like, I mean, the first few times I mean, containerized deployments. Look, I deploy with the container too. I deploy with Docker, and I use that to handle all my deployments. Honestly, so I still deploy with the container. I just deploy it on a VPS. I'm just cheap, bro. Like, I'm not trying to pay for the serverless fees and all that, and so I was like, fuck it, I'll learn how to do it. Uh, invitation extended. All right, so it's navigation, which is, where's that pulling from? In-app only notification types. Okay, so I created a new type right here, basically telling which notifications should be only happening in-app and which ones can happen via an email. And this is always insert notification types. Okay, cool. Just adding some guards there and making it easier to call. So again, if it's not one of these, then continue. If in-app only types that has notification suppressed notification IDs. Okay, cool. Again, you just put all the types into one, and then if it has that type, then you go ahead and add it to suppressed. Cool. All right, I like that. So I mean, serverless, homie. I pay zero. I deployed a Cloudflare. First 10 million requests free. What are you talking about? I mean, I'm gonna use Cloudflare too. I just also like having my own VPS. Like, to be honest with you, like I enjoy that part of it. Like, I'll fuck up and learn. It's all good. Like, I definitely want to learn how to be able to roll my own shit. So you say you first 10 million requests. I don't know. When I was kind of first learning how to do this, it was like the options were basically Next.js and Vercel. And I was like, that ain't gonna work for me. Like, I want to know exactly what I'm doing. I want to be able to get in there. Like you said, I like being able to SSH into my shit and like, fuck around with it and do what I gotta do. Made plenty of mistakes. I've definitely made plenty of mistakes along the way, but it's also made me a lot better by doing that. And then I'm also much better at diagnosing issues once I've seen it for sure. I've also gotten some work from that, honestly. People have asked me, can I help with their VPS, their server and deployment? And you can charge a good amount of money to roll one of those because people don't know what the fuck they're doing. So I just want to have that skill in my back pocket at least, you know what I mean? You said you were a lead developer of a marketing agency as your first job when I was 20, little till 23. Okay. Did like 300 WordPress sites. Yeah. I've honestly probably done a few hundred myself. That is the number one kind of thing that everybody always be asking. Can you do WordPress? Yeah, I can do WordPress, whatever. But yeah, I mean, if I can handle the hosting, like when I do freelancing, like I always offer hosting services as an add-on, and then that's a nice little addition. I can tell you that, especially if they need any maintenance on it in the future, they're gonna come right back to you. So I'm not mad at being able to roll a VPS. SSH to the debugged fucking nightmare. Yeah, I mean servers are a nightmare. I'm not gonna lie, they definitely are. But I have, some might say delusional confidence when it comes to thinking I can figure shit out. And then also, honestly, with AI, it helps you. It helped me along. It definitely helped me out figure out one problem that I could not figure out. So like, I just go and do it now. Those admin state installing plugins that edit HCCS, core nightmare. Now to do it's my point. I just don't want to work with it. I mean, I understand it. I definitely understand. It is definitely a headache, but I feel like once you set up your VPS and it's just yours, and you're not like having to worry about people, fucking with your code and your files. It's just a nice feeling, and I can be a bit of a snob and be like, "Damn, you don't got your own server." You know what I mean? Like, I can kind of look down on people like, "Damn, you ain't using your own server." I have a home media server LLM with my GPUs and shit. That's fire. I definitely would want to get my own home server. Definitely. I just think being able to roll a server. A lot of people can code and program, but not many people can actually do the backend and server stuff. And if you can do that, damn, that's kind of fire to me. So it's just a skill that I'm trying to hone while I'm doing this. And what better way than on your own shit? Wow, this website. I mean, yeah, you're not the first person that's told me that. All right, so here we are. Create project completion, revoke notifications, project actor name, get project context, get the actor name, and if there is no project, throw a response. Recipients, okay, build my notification list, actor, and client. Then create those notifications of all my recipients. Apply these, withdrew the actor name, withdrew the completion request, body, project completion review is canceled, and the project is active again. Project completion review was canceled, and the project is active again. Withdrew. All right. That sounds good to me. And then import that into my task server. This is just for project completion. Completion task, not data table object. To status completed. And then auto improved. All right, cool. Great project completion, revoked notifications. Should not fail a complete mutation. Task, create task, create notifications. That looks good. Where is this? Completion, revoke notifications.core. Okay. All right, that's what it is. All right, cool. Dead ass. Nah, I ain't doing that. Posh says I should be good with sudo rmrf/etc. Nah, hell nah. All right, let's go phase 4. I think I only have 2 more phases. Let's see. Project lifecycle notifications and app only. Workspace invitation, workspace membership notifications. 2 new creator functions. Left, remove. All right. It's actually pretty straightforward implementation. All right, so create project invitation notification. Again, project name, recipients, create my notifications, notify each recipient, create project started notifications, same, create project canceled, same, looks good. Cool. Import it here into my notifications. Run that check. All right, so this is happening on my project layout to actually create the cancellation notification. Project started. And then project canceled. Cool. Here, same thing. My projects failed for project cancellation. And then invitation. All right, cool. Project not found. All right, cool. That looks good. Space membership. All right, nice. All right, export function. Let's see my notification core. Adding workspace invitation. So just another invitation notification that needs to create. This happens when you invite somebody to your workspace. Okay, same thing. Invitation accepted notification. Easy. Now I need to implement that into my better auth flow. So basically wire this into the organization and async send invitation email. After that's sent, you're gonna try to add that to here. Invite invitation row, grabbing those, and then you're calling that function, create workspace invitation. So that, okay, so to get this notification, you need to wire into Better Off's organization plugin. Cool. Notify invitation accepted. Okay. Just another function for another type. That all looks good. This one is workspace invitation. Get organization name, just a helper function, and another helper function to get owner and admin user IDs. Cool. NRA members. Select from members where members organization ID only get owner admin, not deleted, and then create a new set of that. Cool. Yeah, organization ID columns. All right, cool. Implement the last phase. Okay, another one last function for handle creating a member or creating a member left notification. So it should have had to create a new API endpoint because I cannot use Better Off's built-in function for a member to leave anymore because I need to do some custom things to it. So here, I'm gonna get those helper functions and get my actor name, organization name, and the owner admin to make sure I'm notifying the right people. Okay, notify all the recipients that need from this map. Go through in each one, do that. Create the notification itself. Here it is. Type member removed. After your name removes you from your workspace has been revoked. Okay. Let's go here. This is the actual new custom endpoint. Just some guards here. Making sure you're actually a member of said workspace/organization. If you're not, don't do anything. Give me the time. Set deleted that now. Okay. And this is just my soft deletion of the member. Remaining membership rows. All right, so I'm basically checking if a user has other workspaces, and then if it does, you're gonna basically set that as their new active organization. Right here, next organization ID, next organization workspace, and then you're gonna pass it in here as the active organization. It's a better auth kind of function. And then create that notification. Added my new API route. Updated my other remove member with this create removed notification. So after it's off deleted normally, you're gonna call that function. Cool. Candy Steve, yo, what up? Welcome to the chat. Thanks for tuning in. All right, and then my organization settings, I'm gonna update this because normally here this is the normal better auth flow is just organization.leave. So we're gonna hijack that and call our custom endpoint. So fetch API.leave workspace, and then you're gonna pass it to JSON. Let's fix that. And here's my data. I'll wait for the response. And if it's not okay, throw an error. Otherwise, continue as we normally would. Cool. I think that's the last phase. Last thing I need to do, I know, is wire up those tests. So I'm going to tell it to update my test to include these new notifications. I will still eventually manually check all this, but if I can just include this with my test, my newly set up test, I'm going to just move on and then come back later because manual testing can take a while. Now I want to do that all on stream. Basically going to take everything that I just added to all my services files over here, all these new additions, and then put them into my test files. It's more or less pretty much the same. So here you can import all these functions. So for testing, it's going to create its own custom functions to actually run these different tests. And not having to write tests manually is honestly one of the greatest godsends about these agents to me, because that is probably my least favorite part of this. So if I can just write some codes that work and does what I need to do, and I don't need to come in here afterwards and wire all this up myself, life-changing. Absolutely life-changing. It's true. Okay, so it's gonna run some type checks. All right, let's All right, so it wants to give me access to actually, it's gonna set my database URL, and this can actually run. Okay, cool. It's running a test itself, but I can do that also. npm test. That weird guy official. Good night, man. I'm too honed in on my own project. I'm gonna let you go, Matt. Hey, appreciate you joining in the chat. Definitely give you a follow, and I'm gonna check out that GitHub repo here when I get offline. But appreciate you. All right, let's not be set. All right, why do I have to manually set this every time? All right, let me. Um, all right, I'm trying to automate this. How do I? All right, I'm not going to show that part, but basically I'm trying to set this up so I don't need to reset my test DB env every single time I want to run a test. I'm going to run it in my package.json to automatically run it before I run my test. So change your test scripts to use node envs, to use node env file support. So here we go. Scripts. Keep your DB value in. Okay. All right. I think I got it set up. So I'm not going to show my package.json just in case, but it basically wired up some custom scripts, so I don't need to consistently, whenever I open a new terminal, re-sign in into that test DB URL. I can just literally just run npm test now. So that's what should be working here with these tests. Watch node env file env.test and what I need. So should work. Let's just. So now I can just run npm test, automatically connects thanks to my scripts and my package JSON, and does what I need. Don't need to re-enter every single time, and it's passing. So all right, and that's with all my new additional notifications that I set up. I get a pass. So basically it's saying it will function how I expect it to. I will still go in there and do some manual testing, but now that I have testing set up, I can kind of move on a little bit faster because I can always come back later and identify areas where it might not be working. But because I set up my test to use a real database, which is just a test database, it should be pretty accurate in terms of working how I expect it to. Now, there's going to be some things I need to kind of change in terms of visually, but I think functionally, I think it's working. So I think that's a good point for me to stop. By next time I come back on here, I will probably have notifications completely done in terms of the emails and visually customized, and then setting up notification deletion. And then the last thing I'm probably going to do this week is setting up the role permissions. I need to add some permissions for roles and whatnot, and that's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to extend what Better Auth already allows with its roles. You basically just set up some custom rules and functions for that, which should be fairly straightforward. And I think I can get through that in then probably a day. And then other than that, I'll do some quick safety checks before it gets all done, and then I'll deploy to my VPS, and I will have a production app running and ready for testing and public consumption pretty soon. So like I said, about to go eat. Appreciate y'all for tuning in once again. Appreciate the follows and subs, and always appreciate talking to y'all. So I'll be back on here honestly probably tomorrow sometime soon, but catch y'all later. Peace.